Okay, so are you ready to get into this?
I am. Let's do it.
All right, awesome. So we're taking a deep dive today and looking at, the big question I think a lot of people have been asking is, can a XRP really reach new heights anytime soon?
Yeah, I think it's on everyone's mind for sure.
So you sent me over this article, and it's called "Can XRP Reach New Heights Soon?" Pretty straightforward title, right?
Straight to the point, yeah.
It definitely doesn't beat around the bush, that's for sure. So I mean, what jumped out at you like right away when you read this article?
I think the thing that struck me the most was the scale of what they're trying to achieve with XRP.
Yeah,
It wants to grab a piece of the daily cross-border payment market, which is, get this, $8 trillion.
$8 trillion.
$8 trillion.
Whoa, okay, that's a lot of money.
That is not pocket change.
Definitely not. So I mean, that's a pretty high stakes game then, right?
Definitely, yeah.
But one of the things I found interesting and kind of maybe a little bit I don't know contradictory was talking about Ripple.
All right.
The company behind XRP and how they're working directly with these banks, and I feel like that's kind of I don't know counter to what cryptocurrency was supposed to be all in the first place.
Yeah, that's interesting. Her heart with Bitcoin, it was this whole idea of decentralization,
Yeah.
cutting out the middleman, like you said. But with XRP, it's almost like they're leaning in,
Uh-huh.
trying to work within the system. They want to make these giant money transfers that banks are already doing, just smoother, faster, and cheaper.
Okay. Yeah. No, that makes sense. So, I mean, are there any like specific examples in the article where, this kind of efficiency play like really shines?
Yeah, there was one that I thought was really interesting. There was a bank that used XRP, and they were able to settle a payment in seconds.
Wow.
And for a fraction of the cost that it would normally take them.
Wow, that's impressive.
Yeah.
But I know we were kind of we were talking about this a little bit before we started recording, but like, what about the whole regulatory side of things? Like, is there anything in there that kind of throws a wrench in the whole plan?
Definitely. Yeah. That's a big part of the article, and I think one of the biggest challenges facing XRP, they talk a lot about the lack of clear guidelines, especially from like the US Securities and Exchange Commission.
Yeah, that's a big one for sure.
Sure. And I mean that uncertainty, that can really spook investors.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Makes people nervous. But it also mentions that Ripple's doing a lot of lobbying
Oh, okay.
to try to shape those regulations.
So they're not just sitting around.
They're not being passive. They're trying to be proactive and get some clarity.
That's smart.
Yeah,
So I mean, it feels like it's not just about the having the tech. It's like you got to play the game too,
exactly.
right? You got to know the right people, and you got to figure out how to make it all work within the existing system.
Right. You have to navigate that legal maze, which is a whole other challenge.
Exactly. Yeah. So okay, well let's talk about the competition, because I'm sure that XRP isn't the only one that wants a piece of that $8 trillion pie, right? So what does the article say about some of XRP's rivals?
Yeah, they specifically mention Stellar Lumens,
Okay.
which has similar goals to XRP,
Okay.
but the article makes the case that XRP has kind of a head start,
Okay.
especially in terms of real-world adoption.
Oh, okay.
Like, it's already being used by some big names in finance,
Yeah.
like Santander and MoneyGram. So, when you have those big institutions using your tech, it builds trust and it creates this network effect.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. So it sounds like it's a race to, who can get adopted first and get that foothold in the market.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, so I mean that all sounds pretty positive, but I'm guessing the article doesn't just paint this rosy picture, right? Like, aren't there some potential downsides or risks that they talk about?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. One of the big concerns that they raise is, what if these banks eventually just create their own systems
Ooh, yeah.
and ditch XRP altogether?
Right, right.
So they're using it now because it's convenient.
Right.
But what happens when they figure out how to do it themselves?
Yeah, cut out the middleman.
Exactly. The article calls it like XRP being a temporary bridge.
Yeah, I see. Yeah.
But then there's another argument that they bring up.
Yeah.
And that's the complexity of global finance. It's so intricate and interconnected
Yeah.
that it might actually be more efficient for everyone to just collaborate and use a shared system.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Even if they are competitors, like the article quotes one of the Ripple execs as saying, even competing banks, they can all benefit from having this neutral system, this shared system like XRP.
Okay, so it's kind of like, even though we're competing on some levels. We also have this common interest that can benefit everyone, right?
Exactly, yeah.
Okay, well, so I mean, after all this, right? Like after reading this article, after thinking about it, what's kind of the big takeaway, like the bottom line for anyone listening?
I think the article's title kind of sums it up, right? Can XRP reach new heights? Well, maybe.
Big if.
Yeah, there's a big if there. It has the technology, it has these partnerships, and it has this huge market potential. But those regulatory hurdles, they're still there.
No?
And, the world of finance, it's constantly changing,
Yeah.
so anything could happen. What I find most interesting is that, XRP kind of represents this weird middle ground.
Yeah.
It's not like Bitcoin, which was this this radical outsider, but it's not totally accepted by, the traditional financial world either.
It's somewhere in between.
Yeah, and I think that makes it a really interesting case study.
Absolutely. Yeah, totally agree. And I think, for anyone listening, it's not just about, will XRP go up or down? It's like there's so much more to this story here.
Definitely.
There's the technology, there's the players, there's, all these challenges that they're facing. So yeah, it's fascinating. And thanks for taking the time to break it all down.
Of course.
That was super helpful. Um, and yeah, for everyone listening out there, hopefully this gives you some things to think about. Maybe look a little bit deeper into XRP and what it all means. Keep learning, keep questioning, and happy diving, everyone.
Happy diving.